What is up, guys? Picked up a new RC truck. Oh. This is the ARRMA Big Rock Crew Cab 4x4 3S BLX model. So give you a little bit of backstory. This is nothing like the original Big Rock. The original ARRMA Nero Big Rock was a 6S truck. It had completely different body, different chassis, different shock setup, which is why it got discontinued. Traxxas actually sued them over the linkages of the suspension setup and things like that. So they completely gutted the entire Nero lineup. They came out with this, which is nothing like the Big Rock Nero model. This one's completely different. This one's actually closer to the Granite and the Senton with the exact same chassis and suspension setup and things like that. This one, however, is a little bit longer as far as the wheelbase goes versus the Granite. So there's the differentiation there. But really quick, let me give you a quick overview of the box. So there's kind of a close-up of the chassis without the body on it. So typical setup here, kind of similar setup that actually, Traxxas and Losi and things like that use with the motor, ESC, servo, and then you have your drive shaft down the center, battery on the left side of the truck. It's kind of a breakdown of the differential. This is the 6S comparison. So we're dealing with a little bit beefier diff, it looks like. Of course, you have the built-in heatsink for the motor. It's kind of a breakdown of different things. So you have the front and rear kind of modular design. You have the easy access for the power. This, of course, is spring-loaded drive shaft, and then easy access for the electronics. Same thing here on the back side. So there's two pieces of tape that I already can cut. So let's go and box this open. 3, 2, 1, here we go. Oh yeah, woo, look at that shiny body. Inside, you just get the truck itself, just like that. This comes out. Get to the truck in a second. This right here, I'm guessing is this is the radio system. This here is a Tactic TTX300 model. I've actually used this quite a bit of runtime with this particular model here. I actually have this on one of my slashes, but it's kind of a RTR radio system with not a whole lot of adjustability, but what it does do, it does very, very well. So design alone, I personally like it. It's kind of a hit or miss design. You'll either love it or hate it. I think it looks really cool. Kind of looks like an alien shape, especially with the poster, and this kind of looks like the mouth and everything like that. I think it looks really awesome. Other than that, you get really basic stuff. So you get your power switch. You have throttle and steering normal and reverse. You have steering dual rate, and then your throttle and steering trims, and that is it. That's really it. You can program these to a third channel, but of course this isn't going to use that, but you can maybe program that to some lights or something like that. Pretty nice wheel. It does have a foam liner, but is really minimal. I'm not sure if you can make that out, but this ridge does stick out quite a bit, so it's kind of annoying in my taste. I would rather have a flat surface rather than it curved and then hitting this, and then this also pushes inward. It's not really glued in there or anything like that, which kind of annoys me. Pretty nice throttle switch. It's a little bit limited as far as range goes, but I mean, it works. You get 0 to 100. Not a whole lot of steps in between, but who really needs that? This does have a battery compartment down here, if I can get this open. Standard 4AA setup, which I prefer. Pretty nice stuff. And yeah, like I said, it's pretty basic. I'm actually not going to be using this. I have another radio system that I'll show you guys in a second, but let's go and get this out of the way. Other than that, you get a really basic manual. I'm guessing there's some warranty information in here as well. You have some shock spacers, 2 Allen wrenches, and then your key for taking off the wheels and things like that. Looks like there's about 2 or 3 different sizes here. So we'll get into that in a second. And then a really basic manual, just how to get started. Pretty basic stuff there. Now let's get on to the main event here, baby. Boom. Oh yeah, this truck is sick. There it is, baby. It's got kind of an actual quiet rotation there. Usually when you have metal gears, it's really, really noisy. This one is not the case. Of course, I'm actually going to open this up and make sure to adjust the you know, the spacing on the spur and everything like that. I'm going to double check all the nuts and bolts and things like that, make sure everything's tight. But here's a real quick look at this truck. Again, this is a 1/10 scale truck, 4x4. There's your ARRMA branding, typical stuff on the chassis, which is looking awesome. Pretty wicked. Again, like I mentioned before, this has a modular design. So it looks like you could take off 2 bolts down here, 2 bolts down here, and I'm guessing there's maybe 1 or 2 at the top, and then the front and rear sections will pop right out, and then you got your bare chassis. There's also some other kind of screws and nuts and bolts down here at the bottom. That's going to be how to remove your motor and things like that. It's going to pop this body off really quick. The body paint job is amazing. I think that looks really, really slick. This actually has a metal finish, which I'll get to in a second on the inside, but it definitely has that iridescent kind of look where it almost changes color depending on what angle you're looking at it. Really metallic, it really pops, and I'm liking that a lot. There's the front end there, and in my opinion, they kind of base this off kind of like a Ford, like 250 or something like that. It definitely has that Ford look to it, which I like. And then typical ARRMA fashion, you get these really cool body clips, body pins with these really cool tethers, rubber tethers. It helps you to not lose these, and it also aids popping them off as well. A little bit of extra grip there. Pretty nice feature. So, like I said before, there it is right there. Silver coat on the inside. So they do a thin layer of blue and then layer on an additional silver just to make that pop and give it that metallic look to it. Really nice attention to detail. One thing I will note though, this body is basic. It is bare, buddy. There's hardly any logos on it. Just on the back, a little bit of that RR there, and then same thing there, you got that double R, and then a really, really tiny Big Rock logo right there. I think they could have at least added a small little logo here, maybe a Big Rock logo or an ARRMA logo or something like that. But those of you that like clean basic bodies are gonna really love this. I definitely think it does have kind of a subdued look to it. It's very clean for sure. So here's the truck itself. Really nice chassis. Again, this is the exact same chassis that the Senton uses, and then the Granite actually uses a very, very similar design. It's just maybe about an inch or two shorter, so that wheelbase is going to be coming in a little bit more. But I liked the scale of this overall. I think it had a really great scale look to it. One thing I wish it did have was wider tires. I think these tires are a little bit narrow for the scale, but it's not that big of a deal. These tires, they're actually pretty firm as far as the foam pad goes. The rubber feels really, really high quality. Even though it is firm, it does feel grippy. I definitely like the tread pattern as well. It's got a nice big blocky texture that's gonna be very good for tread wear, and I think it's gonna be very grippy on different surfaces as well. Gonna be rolling really well, and due to the thicker compound, I think it's gonna be great for not having that balloon effect. Now I'm going to be running this with 3S, but as you can see here, this has the double straps for the batteries, which I like. Really easy to swap batteries in and out, and different sizes. If you want to run 3S or 2S on this, it'll all work, it'll all be compatible. You of course have your EC5 plug. I actually bought a brand new battery just so we can run this. I was running some Traxxas stuff, and I also have the, what is it, the XT90s or whatever. But I've heard really good things about this. It's basically a double banana plug type of deal, but the way that it's soldered in is really, really secure. So can't wait to try that out. You have your motor there. So it's a 3200 kV 4-pole motor, brushless of course, and you have your heat sink to keep things cool. You have your BLX 100 with a built-in fan, which is nice. Looks like that fan can actually be swapped out if I'm not mistaken, but it does have an exterior plug there that you can go and pop out. You have your all metal geared servo. This is a waterproof servo as well, which is really, really nice, especially with something with wheels this beefy and something that weighs this much. This is actually a pretty heavy truck. I have to get my scale out a little bit later and raise this thing, but it's definitely really, really substantial in both size and weight. Now I actually paired this right next to my Slash, and the wheelbase was basically identical. I thought this was going to be a little bit longer as far as the wheelbase goes, but it's actually identical to the Slash. Of course, the Slash does have those bumpers that stick out quite a bit, especially the rear one, so the Slash will look a little bit longer overall, but essentially they're about the same length. So again, you do have your drive shaft, which is plastic, spring loaded, but then this one does have the added center bearing brace, so that's going to keep things solid as well. And then this has the additional all metal gear in the back. I know that the brushed versions of the Granite, I believe, those were popping out or breaking or stripping or things like that. So glad that they upgraded that for this truck here. Taking a real close look at the bottom, you're gonna see some really beefy A-arms, especially in the back. These do not match the front. The fronts are a little bit different, a little bit smaller. Kind of wish they went with something this beefy up front as well. As far as the suspension setup goes, really nice and flush. The back not only feels firmer, but it's rebounding a lot slower as well. So it looks like the springs are spaced out a little bit more, so there's a little bit more tension, and then I'm guessing that the shock oil is a little bit thicker in the rear as well. You can see here just how fast this front end reacts. I'm just guessing that's for more small bump compliance, and then you're taking your big hits here in the back. What else can I say? Wheelie bar, it has, let's see here, 3 different positions. So right now this is at the lowest position. If you move it up, it's gonna bring this up as well. Integrated front bumper. A lot of people thought that this was kind of like a fake bumper that was attached to the body. But as you can see here, it's an actual physical bumper. It's kind of a hard plastic, so I'm guessing this is gonna break. If you hit something hard enough, this will crack. Same thing with this one in the rear, but of course you have the wheelie bar protecting things as well. Pretty basic wheels. I don't think these are ball bearings inside. They're not spinning as smooth as some of the other ones I've seen before. And then you have your body mounts here, front and back, and I do believe that these are adjustable vertically, if I'm not mistaken. And that's pretty much it. So with the Tactic system, the receiver is actually internal and there's no external antenna. Now the radio that I'm going to show you in a second does have an external antenna, so I'm going to have to figure out a way to maybe drill a tiny hole and just run a tiny tube, maybe about 3 inches or so, just to get me good enough reception at least. Otherwise, yeah, I'm gonna call this a pretty awesome truck. Again, I'm gonna run through all the bolts, nuts, things like that, make sure my wheels are tight and all the pivots and everything are good to go. It looks like I might have to do a little bit of a toe in, toe out adjustment, but it's another thing as I wanted to mention is that these do have adjustable turnbuckles. You can adjust your toe in, toe out. You can adjust your camber both in the front and the back. And these are really beefy as well. One thing that I wanted to point out is the attachment points on these do look like they're plastic, unfortunately. I'm used to the metal stuff that Traxxas is putting out, so hopefully I won't have any issues with that. But yeah, I mean, other than that, this is an awesome truck. I really thought about getting a Granite 4x4 just because it's basically the exact same truck, but I just couldn't get over the way this thing looks. I think this thing looks freaking awesome, man. It's definitely got that scale look to it. Definitely does not have that toy look that the Stampede has. I think the Stampede, with the body just sitting up so high and it's just a tiny truck and the body's up like this, it looks ridiculous to me, like a little kind of department store RC truck to me, but this has that hobby grade look to it. So anyways, that's the truck, and let me go in and show you some of the other things that I picked up as well. Alright, so like I was saying, I did pick up a new battery just for this specific truck. So I went with a Power Hobby. This is a 3S LiPo battery. And this does have the built-in EC5 connector. So you can see here, this is a 5200 milliamp 50C LiPo battery. 2C charge rate, 50C continuous, 100C burst. And yeah, 3S lipo. That's pretty much it. This is not a hard case, unfortunately, but it does seem to have a pretty nice protective plastic to it that'll hopefully keep this thing solid. To charge that battery, I picked up this boy right here. This is a HexFly HX403 balance charger, so this can charge anywhere from 2S to 4S. If you're charging 2S lipos, you can actually do dual 2S batteries at once, which is really nice. Let's go and unbox this really quick. So there it is right there. Pretty basic functionality to it. Just got 3 buttons up front. You have your AC and DC power adapters on the sides. And that's pretty much it. It does have an integrated cooling fan. And this will give you a readout of, you know, the lipo, the cells, and everything like that, the condition of them as well. So that's pretty nice. Like I said, dual 2S, and you have 3S and 4S. And yeah, not really much to it. So you have your AC and DC power adapters here. Standard US 3-prong plug there. And a really basic manual. So there it is there. Yeah, not really much to it. So yeah, charging status, it'll tell you the charging status if it's full or if there's an error or anything like that. And that is pretty much it for this. Now this is a HexFly branded unit, but I believe this one is actually a rebrand of a few different ones. I know that Venom makes this same exact model. Theirs is a white color, I forget the model name, but then Red Cat Racing also makes this exact same one as well. So it's a pretty universal unit, but it does have really, really good reviews for what I was seeing on, I believe, Horizon Hobby. All the reviews on there on this particular model were really, really stellar, which is why I chose this charger. And hopefully I'm going to have some good experiences with this. We'll see. Last but not least, bam! FlySky GT5. This is the radio system that I was telling you about. So let's go ahead and unbox this baby. Alright, so starting with a little quick start manual, quick start guide. This is all Chinese. What's going on here? Alright, cool. Yeah, so we got a few pages of English here. So lots of functionality. I'm going to get into the nitty gritty a little bit later. I don't want to take too much time away from you guys. And let's go and bust this thing out. Ooh, alright, okay. Ooh, I'm liking this. So right off the bat, this does feel good in the hands, but I'm noticing that the ergonomics is not as good as a Tactic unit. This does have a flipped up antenna, so it's not as integrated as well, but this does have a really nice foam wheel. Now, like I said, this foam does move, so I'm gonna have to figure out a way to glue that in, but the foam itself, like I said, it's flat, looking at it laterally, but it feels really good in the hands. The throttle trigger does have more movement, and it's actually a lighter actuation as well. And this is actually a 6-channel radio, so you got 5 and 6 here. Here's 4. It's just a 3-position switch, and then you have your steering, channel 3s here, steering trim, throttle trim, and then you have all your digital functionality there. Again, this is 4 AA's, but I believe you can use like a 2S LiPo or a 1S LiPo or something like that in here. This does include a larger foam grip or rubber grip. It's got a little bit of a texture to it. I'm really not liking these holes here. I wish they just went with something like texturized or something, because that really doesn't add to any ergonomics or anything like that. It feels really awkward in the hands, in my opinion. And you have your basic receiver. This is a really nice small receiver. This does feature a gyro in it, so you're gonna have traction stability management built in, and it's fully adjustable with the screen, and you have your scroll wheel and everything like that. You can really fine tune it. I like to turn it on, but really, really low, maybe like 20% or something like that. And like I said, this does unfortunately have an antenna, so I'm gonna have to figure out a way to route that into the ARRMA Big Rock. Anyways, guys, that was my unboxing of my new truck. Thanks for watching. If you guys aren't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, help me out, get some views and some likes. Comment below if you guys have any questions or comments. Thanks again, see you guys next time, and I'll be taking this out to the trails this weekend. Look for some riding footage of that real soon. All right, guys, thanks a lot. Bam.